Hey there, I'm Pete Townsend, and this is Money Never Sleeps. We look inside the minds of entrepreneurs and at the crossover of startups, enterprise, finance, technology, and life as we know it. This episode of Money Never Sleeps is sponsored by Philip Lee, one of Ireland's fastest growing corporate law firms and expert advisors at the heart of the Dublin and London startup, fintech, and crypto communities. On the show this week, we've got...
Hey, I'm Victor. I'm the co-founder for Securo Finance.
And...
Hey, I'm Alvin Fu. I'm the co-founder for Securo Finance.
Securo Finance, formerly known as Dow Ventures, are building a compliant, secure, and easy-to-use DeFi, or decentralized finance, investment platform. Securo Finance are the fourth of 10 founding teams forming the Launchpool Web3 Techstars Accelerator class of 2022 that we've got on the show over the next few months. In this episode, Owen Fitzgerald and I talked to Victor and Alvin about how they got together with their CTO, Soon Lai, to bring the Securo Finance idea to life, what Securo Finance is and how it works, what really matters when you're bridging Web 2 investors into the Web 3 world, and how Securo Finance are going to make a big splash into the market in and around Palm Beach and Miami at the upcoming Permissionless conference. All right here on Money Never Sleeps. Well, listen, why don't we just jump right in and get started with Victor? And let's begin with you. And why don't you share with us your backstory and how you got to this point, yeah?
Yep, right. Yeah, so the backstory is that I was actually product manager and has been in the entrepreneurship, building technology products more than a decade, right? I started building applications on a mobile app, and of course, being enthusiast and making and building stuff, having the engineering trait in my heart, brings me to Web3 and crypto in 2016, when Ethereum was still in this nascent phase, right? So that being said, I actually explored into cryptography, explored into Ethereum mining, proof of work, really getting deep dive into the technology side of the industry, which is on the Web3. As we know, right, Web3 is not something that was created like 5 years ago. It was a movement that was recently hyped up. But prior to that, right, everyone was just calling them as Bitcoin or Ethereum mining, right? Or, something along that way, cryptocurrency, cryptography, or distributed ledger technology. So that brought me up to the Web3 space in 2016, ventured deep dive into the industry. So when it comes to 2018, then I realized that, hey, this industry is actually the next growing evolution of how the technology would disrupt the world, and went full force into the industry in 2018. Coming from the technology background, or from several waves of technology, starting from internet, the .com, all the way to social media, to sharing economy, and to mobility, mobile age. Yeah, it just shows me that every industry has a turning point, and Web3 as of today is actually the turning point where we will see that this industry will go to the future, and it's here to stay. So yeah, that's how I started into Web3, and of course, I started into that's the backstory of it.
Great. And Alvin, how about you? What was your entry point into all this, and looking at your LinkedIn profile, and actually looking at both of your LinkedIn profiles and seeing how your careers have progressed? I've got a pretty good handle on it, but Alvin, why don't you share it in your own words, yeah?
Right. How much time have I got?
Well, you
Right.
started in 95 like I did. That's what I saw on your LinkedIn profile. So,
Right.
Just give us the rundown
Right.
and that will do the trick, yeah?
Right. Right. By profession, I'm actually a lawyer. So I've actually served as a legal counsel in London many years ago. And obviously after that, I don't want to do this like 24 hours, right? Just talking about my history. I've always been, enterprising ever since I was a kid, also because of my parents, my dad, who's also, a businessman himself. So several years in Malaysia, I've always been in a tech business. I got into, 97, where I actually started my first internet company. But obviously before that, I've gone through a lot of trial and tribulation where I've, failed several times. And, just in time 97 where internet started, and I actually created my first internet company. And then, I grew that into a fairly sizable company before I did it in 2006. And 2006 was a year that I actually hopped onto China. And my journey in China is actually accidental, because a trip that was not supposed to be, I'm not meant to stay here for so long. I always call myself as an accidental tourist that eventually got into the ad tech business. So I actually work in several ad tech companies, ranging from Nokia to Velti to Google. And in my last two roles before I joined Victor, to tap onto Web3 and also crypto, was as I was the managing director of a Forex advertising agency and running the China business. So Victor was working together with me back then, 2016, where we spent a great deal of time talking about crypto, and he was like, so into it, and he said, "We got to get into it, man. I'm gonna buy my first, mining machine," which he did, yeah. So that machine became also his, heating engine at home as well, because there was so much heat. It was talking about it. So Victor was actually very, into crypto even at that time. And obviously I continued to run my advertising agency, and he, decided in 2018, right, that he wanted to, said, "I'm gonna like jump ship. I'm gonna, move back to Singapore and do crypto." So as for me, I continued to run my agency, and for a long time, for about 7 years until 2020, where he said, the company that we were, I invested in, where he was running, he said, "Alvin, I think this is a year where DeFi is going to explode, man." And he was showing me, DeFi pulse and all that stuff. And he said, and I didn't have a clue what in the world was DeFi. So the learning curve for me was very, very steep. And I mean, Victor at the time was like almost to me was like the guru that I know. Wow, he knows a lot. And he said, we gotta dive into this. And that was how, having read and also really immersive, that I've actually joined on to, Victor's, so-called Victor's bandwagon. At the time it was called Dow Ventures. And and obviously at the time, with the little knowledge that I learned, and obviously I learned a lot from him, and also I learned a lot from the industry, that we hop onto the bandwagon. I thought this is really game changing for me. And I think this is going to be the next industry that will continue to change, because I came from advertising, I came from internet, I came from the mobile era, I saw e-commerce, I saw everything. And to me, right, when I look at this entire, blockchain, crypto, Web3, I see another era similarly to mobile internet, similar to internet, how it took off. And I knew this has to be it. And that was how, Dow Ventures was actually created. And then, I never looked back. I think that's how I started.
Gotcha. No, I mean, just looking at the two of you together, right? And seeing Victor, going back to your earliest days where you were a mortgage executive at Citi, right? And I can imagine you as a mortgage executive, believe it or not. And Alvin, with your lawyer background, both of you then got into digital mobile marketing, innovation. Obviously, you guys came together at Omnicom, and that's where you guys were spending a lot of time together. All it really was Victor just going down the rabbit hole. Is that it?
Yeah. It's being, having the curious mind, right, to really explore what is out there, and, try to figure out what is the stuff that we can actually create in, right? And of course, anybody can make money selling bubble teas and, burgers and flipping burgers and, stuff, right? But it takes a special breed of skill set, mindset, and, execution level to really hustle something, right, from especially in the tech space. So I think that in the combination of the team, myself, and of course Alvin, right, we managed to, break it through.
Awesome. And also having Soon Lai as your CTO, big shout
Yep.
out to Soon Lai, and having his background in all of this is pretty helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah, having our CTO co-founder, tech co-founder in our team, Sulai joined us one startup before Ventures. Kind of we work together. I mean, know how we work with each other, and having that kind of skill set that complementary to each other, just bring us to the next level. Right? So if you see from the core founding team composition, we are actually having a very strong composition. Alvin being like that strategist, right, and the person who understand how the market and the business works, right. He's actually going to be the guidance and the mentor always from that space, right. While I'm going to be the hustler and executor, right, bringing everything together, the strategies, bringing everyone together. So that is my role. And then of course, Sun Lai is the executor, right. He's actually like, hey, give him the tech requirement, understand the tech, and he'll get it done, right. So from like full stack, from Solidity development, from blockchain programming. So that is what the tech, the skill set, right? All of us are really combining together to bring into a very perfect team for us to execute on Securo Finance.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that, and it's great to have at the earliest days those three key roles really well defined and all as co-founders in the business, which is awesome.
Yep.
Why don't we shift into telling us about Securo Finance, what it is, where it started as Dow Ventures, and why it's unique?
I
Sure.
mean, I can start by talking how we started, right? Because it was meant to be Dow Ventures. Dow Ventures initially when it was started was really into consulting, getting onto blockchain and trying to incubate opportunity. But obviously, Victor at that time, because we were also invested into a startup that, we found Sun Lai, who was also at that point of time also the chief technology person. And what happened was when we dive into DeFi at that time, we saw an opportunity because we saw there was a huge growth that's going to come up on DeFi. And there's an opportunity, but it was really, really difficult. It was hard. It was not simple. And nobody knows exactly, in terms of what kind of risk they're dealing with. So what happened was we decided, hey, why don't we create a strategy to simplify, right, to onboard crypto investors and retailers. So at least, they know what they're getting into. They know what kind of risks that they are dealing with. So we kind of like, break them down and categorize them into different kind of risks, starting from low to high and degen as well. So that was the premise of actually, starting Dow Ventures. But over a period of time, we there was a lot of learning. We launched our tokens, and at the same time, we launched our product. We saw TVL going up, and we also saw the problems and many of the problems that we faced. And obviously, then we stumbled onto the bottleneck, and then we realized, right, that in order for us to scale bigger, we need to get onto becoming more compliant, more secure, a responsible provider, and what have you. So that was how we saw the need, right, to pivot so that we can scale bigger, and at the same time, right, getting into a space, right, that there's more loyalty and grow the business much quicker compared to just what we used to be, where the focus was very much non-compliant and very degen. And again, very degen means there's very little loyalty. I think over the last at least a year, we have learned in terms of getting right on technology. I know there's a lot more to learn, but at least we have got certain key metrics ready, the product ready. We got the team in place. I think what we have now is really how to scale and how to get the license and how to pivot to become a more responsible service provider to address right a more advanced segment where we term them as the small to medium sized fund managers and also family offices. So that was why we saw the opportunity, and that's how that came Secure Finance.
Great, great. And Victor, do you want to talk us through the core value proposition and how it all works?
Yeah, sure. To continue what Alvin was mentioning about like our conviction on the DeFi space, right? It's really because of a few fundamental issues and a few fundamental metrics. We are always using back to the fundamentals, right, to make decision. That is how we actually knows that we are on the right path, right? The first one is actually the number of users on the crypto spike, on the active number of crypto wallet is growing at the tremendous scale, right? And of course, that is actually adding on to the DeFi space as well. When DeFi started 1 year ago, it was actually quite slow. And then after that, if you can see right now, right, DeFi space actually went tenfold in terms of like the product development and the number of users adopting to it. So we know that DeFi is actually on the right path to continue to grow down 5-10 years down the road, because it's just how Web3 are supposed to disrupt the traditional finance, right? So that is number one. Number two, is our conviction in terms of like why we know that we are doing the right things to serve the right customers? Is very simply said, right? Users are actually people who like us, who wanted to invest their money so that they can actually get a better return of their money. If you look at the traditional market right now, if you look at the number of the centralized government and the banks, right, giving out the return, which is almost non-existence on their money, while the inflation rate are growing very high, it just demonstrated that people and investors, common retail investors like ourselves, will need a better outcome, a better exposure to different kind of alternative asset investment, which is the DeFi component to it. But the problem was the lack of compliant regulatory and security into these DeFi investments, stopping a lot of investors to place their trust into this new technology. But we also understand with every new technology that emerged over the last years, right, all this flow of technology that happened, they will require a lot of different maturity to it. And we know that having this unique value proposition is going to differentiate Securo Finance to the rest of the competitors. Our value proposition are very simple. We want to be a compliant, secure, and easy to use DeFi platform for regular investors. That is what we want. Because having, if we were to offer a solution that is offering very high interest but unsustainable and unregulated, a lot history has demonstrated a lot of all these protocols and a lot of these businesses will run out of business, and no investors will be able to look for them. So having a regulated and a license, right, from a fund manager to be able to help more of these investors to invest responsibly into various digital asset, various DeFi, right, is going to bring in the new breed of customers to the DeFi growth or to the Web3 growth. And this is what is severely needed in the industry for us to continue to scale it. But to do it, we need to go through the right process, right? The usual stuff, having a license, having a security peace of mind for the customers, having exceptional customer experience, having a good customer support, having the right relationship from our businesses and customer service, right, to ensure that the customers feel safe with their money is there, so that they don't worry about their money is gone. So the basic stuff, right, is what required to actually bring in the confidence so that the industry will continue to grow, and that is what Securo Finance is trying to go after.
Hey everyone, this is Pete. Let me tell you about the folks at Philip Lee. A few years ago, I was at my first venture capital industry dinner in Dublin, and honestly, I felt a bit lost. I bumped into Andrew Tizali, one of the partners at Philip Lee. He bought me a pint and introduced me to the team, and they took me under their wing. That take you under their wing approach has been what I've heard consistently from fintech and crypto startups who I know have worked with Philip Lee in Dublin and London to help them wrap the right legal framework around their business, fundraising, and regulatory needs. And I can't recommend them enough. Get in touch with the team at philiplee.ie or on moneyneversleeps.ie/philiplee to learn more.
It sounds like then really you're bridging the gap between, I suppose, Web 2, Web 3, because you're giving the regular investor access to obviously digital assets, but bringing the kind of traditional way of, the security, the compliance, the traditional way of investing to the table. And it seems to be that's going to be the key bit, but it's obviously a very smart way to go down. And that's kind of what sets you apart, obviously, from the competitors.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because a lot of our competitors in Web3 space, they are builders and innovators, right? They have a lot of disregard about how the real world works, right? In terms of getting investors on board or getting the adoption from the mainstream of the businesses on board. So that is what is actually lacking in the Web3 space. And we are using a little bit of a traditional method of doing it, which is having Web2 approach to solve the Web3 space, right? So that is what we are trying to do. Yeah.
In terms of the longer term vision, guys, what does this look like, right? How big can it get? And I'm thinking about a point in time in the future where there's a critical mass of what used to be traditional finance or TradFi investors that are investing through DeFi or decentralized finance and via smart contracts. How big can this get? And what do you think it's going to look like?
I mean, from my standpoint, right, I think if you look at the TradFi business now, if you were to look, strictly in terms of their size right now, I mean, traditional, let's just look at, what we all understand. Like if you look at equity market at this point of time, equity market is about what? $100 trillion, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you compare that to crypto, it's like 2 trillion, right? Or less now after today, right? Probably 1.5 or less. So the crypto market as a whole is no more than $1.5 trillion. And then if you start to break them down, right, into say DeFi, that's probably even smaller. I mean, I remember, I think Victor was saying that this year, by 2021, there's going to be $200 billion. I think we have reached that last year, about $200 billion. So assuming that even if we are at $200 billion and the size of crypto being, under $1.5 trillion, we're still, and I haven't even mentioned derivatives yet, which is even bigger than the equity market. No, the size is actually huge by any standard. But how do we get there, right? I think that's a challenge, right? I think what Victor was also pointing out, right? Now, we also need to make sure that while we talk about Web3, a lot about Web3, the reality is the world is still very much Web2, right? And people are just used to, Web2 because, like it or not, the decentralized world was very sexy. but in many ways, it's very slow and it doesn't work very well. And a lot of our products, we get complained all the time, right? How I wish it was as easy as Robinhood, right? So I think the challenge for us is that while we understand the need of actually going that direction, we also need to understand that a lot of people on Web2. So that's why the team, Victor and me and Sunmai, we want to come up with something that's actually I think simplicity is actually what we are trying to come back to. At least, right, someone who's using it, while it may be on the back end decentralized on DeFi and all that stuff, but to the users, right, it's simplicity. It's probably accessing it with a simple UI and then, trade or invest and then you make money. Like sleep when you make money, right? So we want to see, and that will be our single biggest challenge, right? So it's going to be a marriage between Web3 and Web2, but from the user perspective, right, it doesn't matter whether it's Web3 or Web2. That's really a technical way of saying it, because in general, most of the users don't really care. To them, it's really the ease of use. And if you ask me from my standpoint, I think if we can get to the ease of use where people can use it like how you would use Robinhood, I think we would have fixed a huge problem in DeFi already. That will be our biggest challenge. I mean, I don't think we have an answer to all that, but that will be our major challenge. And the market is huge. I mean, I don't want to quantify exactly how much, but if you look in terms of this market size versus where we are, I think it's just humongous. And tapping onto that, and Asia, where there's a huge market of, I'm not even talking about Singapore, like even look at Southeast Asia, half a billion people, right? And a sizable market that I think if you can tap on it rightly, I think we are really talking really, really big money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you mentioned Robinhood there, Alvin, and how easy it is to use. I mean, looking at your DApp, which is still Dow Ventures, and obviously you're in the process of rebranding to Securo, and you access your DApp easily on your mobile phone. You can go right to connect your wallet, connect my MetaMask wallet, and then I go into these strategies. I can see Dow Citadel for a balanced crypto portfolio, enhanced with yield farming rewards, a Citadel 2, which takes that even further with blue chip cryptos, Golden Cross, which is a technical analysis driven strategy, Dow Metaverse, so ride the growth of NFT and gamify ecosystems, right? All of that's right there. It feels pretty easy. But I think what you're saying is that this can be really, really big if you get this into a lot of people's hands, right?
Yes, absolutely. To answer your question on the product side, right? I mean, despite what you are describing on the easy side, but it's still hard for a lot of people because Web3 requires a lot of technical knowledge about setting up their Web3 wallet, right? And they have to pay for gas fees. They have to think about the amount of the risk and the volatility they have. And for a lot of investors, it's just too complicated. That is our learning from Dow Ventures that we have been doing for last year. Despite the simplicity that we have currently, it's not enough. We need to even go double down on our approach to make it even more simpler, that the customers should just log in, deposit money, and done. It's 3 steps to invest into DeFi without worrying about the gas fees, without worrying about how to set up their Web3 wallet. It's just to say, hey, I just need to log in with my email or with my Google some account, and then I just need to go through this process one time, just like Robinhood. Bam, done. You do not need to worry about the gas fees. You do not need to worry about how much you're going to retain and everything. Just make sure that the money is given to the customers based on the strategy that they choose, which is low risk, medium risk, or high risk. Done. And we want to double down to make it even more simpler based on what we have so far. And we want to make it better.
Yeah, because when I did this before we started recording today and looking at this again, I already have the MetaMask wallet set up, actively using that, so it's easy for me, right? Yep. But when you and I saw recently that MetaMask now are integrated with Apple Pay, MetaMask are integrated with MoonPay, which allows you to load your Web3 wallet with a credit or debit card, but it still is just that you can't go onto a Web3 dApp and just start using it within seconds if you don't already have a wallet set up, right? Yes. So I think that is the big bridge. And at the end of the day, the way we will get the first billion users of crypto and digital assets and DeFi into this space is really through making that completely seamless and making it such an easy bridge into this space where You don't have to go through all these middlemen. You don't have to go through all of these different fee layers that sit behind the scenes for all these clearinghouses, these intermediaries, for just to be able to invest. And I think for me, that's the compelling desire to help you guys drive this all forward, right?
Because even
Definitely.
that example, Pete, I don't have any of those things set up.
You don't.
No.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can go into my Revolut and trade now stocks if I want to.
Yeah.
Straightforward. But
There
I
you
can't
are.
do
Yep.
anything you just described there because I don't have any of those things set up.
Yeah, I'll show you, Owen. I'll show you how it's done. All right. So, bringing it all back to the here and now, what is the biggest objective for 2022 and hence the biggest challenge?
I think we have two parts to that. I will start with the product side first, that Alvin could actually chip in from, like, the business and the future of the challenges, right? So on our side,
Sure.
we have to be a little bit more focused and, of course, double down on our effort, right, to make sure that we actually have the differentiator in terms of Securo Finance, plus the rebranding, because Dow Ventures doesn't sound very secure. So Securo Finance, right, will be able to, give us a different kind of branding so that we can tap into people's mind and heart and say that, hey, we are here to not mess around with money, right? And then, so that's one. Number two is actually to focus more on like getting the right talent, working on the right product so that we can prioritize on what we are trying to focus on, which is to be a secured, compliant, and easy to use DeFi protocol for Securo Finance to get more investors to come into DeFi. So, so that is actually our plan for the rest of 2022. And of course, this would include, if you to go one layer down, this would include like, the mobile application. And of course, you include more different kind of languages, different kind of product that is actually easier to explain, more processes in terms of, like, as I mentioned, getting a customer support that is available on our app, on our website, so that customers could actually find, one click to actually able to get a support they require to understand what the hell are we trying to do. So all these things are on the product side and the business side, and what we challenges and what we intend to do for the rest of the 2022. In terms of like on the market side and the business and the challenges, Alvin could chip it.
A real challenge that I see moving forward, right? Number one, I think talent is one, right? I mean, we are a team of 3 people, our founding team, and then a team of engineers right now. If we want to move into this market quickly, we also need to make sure that we hire the right people, not just tech, but also, the development side, right? And business development, where you need people who understand each market and who to talk to, and the right partner to talk to, people who understand banking, people who understand, fund, because they are speaking in that language. So we may have hired 1 or 2 people, but I think we need to hire more people. So that's the one talent. Talent is key to us in terms of actually getting into the right market. I think number 2 is that we also need to address, while we have a BVI license, we also need to understand, right, in some of the markets, right, we also need to understand the local regulation landscape, right? While at the same time, not to be overly structured and not overly bothered by regulation, because too much regulation is not going to do us any good. But we also need to keep that in mind and to make sure that we do not, get onto the wrong side of the equation. So those are the challenges that we need to address. So people is one. I think Victor and team will cover that part. But I think in terms of actually, and then also we probably need some marketing people who then need to address each of the individual market that we are covering, at least within Asia, where we need to access and talk to the right people. So those will be what we need to focus, right, in the coming 1-2 years.
Gotcha. And I know that you've got a pretty innovative go-to-market strategy around the permissionless event coming up in Palm Beach, which is close to Miami. Victor, do you want to maybe share some details on that and how it's going to work?
Yeah, of course. So that being said, right, there's 2 paths to this, right? The number 1 path is that we have to focus on our product development and our focus on building a compliant, secure, and easy to use DeFi platform. But on another side, we cannot lose our innovation, right? That means we cannot be just focusing on, doing what the TradFi was doing. So the innovation part is actually very important to Web3. And how to do that? To keep on innovating on our team and building new tests, go-to-market, right, and test approach to get in the feedback from the customers. So we are building an innovative strategy called Follow the Whale, followwhale.com. So what does it mean? It's very simple, right? In the traditional finance, we know that to invest into profit like a billionaire, for example, Warren Buffett, or like some of these experienced trade investment banks, or all these hedge fund managers, You want to trade like them, you want to invest like them. But in the traditional way, it's slightly hard unless somebody allows you to copy trade. But on the Web3 space, following all these rich fund managers invest on the Bitcoin will give you some sort of tips and how to invest like them. So we are creating a strategy whereby we are able to track the wallets of these crypto whales or these rich investors, right? Invest in the Bitcoin market. So able to track on their wallet and do back testing on their approach, we will be able to use data science approach to actually analyze their return using a Sharpe ratio, using a profitable strategy. And using that strategy, we are creating a very simple strategies to invest. If it's bullish, you will just invest into Bitcoin. If it's bearish, you invest in a stable coin just to make sure that we're covering both sides for the investment strategy that we incorporate into our product. The strategy is that, and we should be able to launch it in Miami in the next couple of weeks. So the go-to-market strategy is that we're going to throw in some big party to get a lot of whales to come onto the board, come into the party, come into the event. And then we were able to launch the follow whale at a specific event to get in the attention, right, of these whales and say that, hey, you guys are doing something very innovative. We want to monitor what you guys are doing. So that is the innovative go-to-market strategy we are doing to get in the attention for this strategy follow wheel that we want to launch. That being said, one of the caveat is that, if you're able to hit to our objective, which is to get to $100 million in TVL or total value lock, me and Alvin and the rest of the founders, we're going to rent a boat. We're going to go to Iceland or Norway, spot some whales and just jump down from a ship to follow the whale. So that is the go-to-market strategy of us trying to get into whales, right, to follow us.
Love it.
We're going to hold you to this, Victor and Alvin. Absolutely. We had the whole class out in Barna in Galway for our retreat. We had a few of the folks jumping into Galway Bay off of Barna Pier, and that water's not that cold compared to what you might find up in Iceland. So, but as long as you're only in for a couple of minutes, you'll be absolutely fine. Just don't start hyperventilating.
We probably go during really, really hot in the summer.
Awesome.
We'll bring in Pete together so that we can jump down the follow wheel together.
Oh yeah, no, I'm there. I'm totally there. And then we'll go into those volcanic springs and warm up a bit after that because we're going to need it.
Excellent.
But listen, guys, we're at the point of the show where Owen likes to ask his final famous question that we ask everybody on the show. So Owen, I'll hand it over to you.
So gents, it's great having you on the show and hearing about your story. So individually, I'd like if you could tell us something that people wouldn't expect to know about you.
And I think we'll start with both, right? Myself and of course Alvin. So I think personally myself, I'm always bubbly and a fun guy, and I love to cook as well, right? So nobody knows about me because everyone looks at me and says that I'm very serious in my work and just a person who are fully focused on work. But having I'm fun to have around, right? And then able to do a nice cooking and love to be around with people as well. So that's key.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
During the lockdown, right, everyone became a celebrity chef, right? So I cook a lot of we cook a lot of pasta, steaks, and different kind of dishes, right, for the family. So yeah.
All right, diversifying. That's awesome. That's the thing to do. You just got to keep working on it, right?
And you,
Yes.
Alvin?
Right. Well, I'm actually not very young. Obviously, I look a lot younger than my age. Right. At my current age, which I won't talk about it, right? But certainly not young. Probably Pete can guess because he's looking. He probably has seen my LinkedIn. At my age, I'm still playing competitive badminton. Right. The thing is this, I can be playing. If you look at how my build, right? Victor will know it very well. I have a rather big tummy. Like really big, really big. So it's sizable, very sizable for my height. And people, it's so obvious that you can see it, right? That nobody could have imagined that a person of my size could run, jump, and smash and play competitive badminton. So I still play competitive until today, like competition, not professional league, but at least in a very advanced league. So I still play until this age, and I still play, competition and where. With my team, and even with my daughter at this age, right? So she's very young. She's in the middle school. So that's something that people don't think about because when they look at me, right, they said, "How can this guy run? I mean, his belly is bigger than his body, man. There's no way he can run." So I think that's something that nobody could have could have thought that I could play at this age.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
play.
My
That's
son
brilliant.
just got a badminton set from his grandparents for his birthday last week. So that net is now up in our backyard, and there is a barbecue right near there, but not too close that it's a hazard. So I can probably cook and play badminton at the same time. So we've got both of your bases covered, guys.
Excellent. Right. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Next time your home party will definitely be very lively. You know, you got people to
Oh,
cook
yeah.
and
Right.
barbecue with you and badminton.
Seriously, I can't wait for you guys to come back to Dublin in
Right.
June. It's going to be awesome.
Great.
And,
I don't even need to bring my racket. I can use your son's
Yeah.
racket.
yeah, we got 4 of them ready to go. Graham and Gramps did a great job with a birthday present this year. They always do a great job, but it was particularly timely. So listen, guys, thank you so much for coming on to the show. It's been awesome
Yeah. It's
digging
great
in
to have you.
even more into Securo Finance and the story of Victor and Alvin and Soon Lai and the whole team. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
That does it for this week, folks. Thanks to Victor Lee and Alvin Fu for opening up their minds to help us figure out why they do what they do. Links to get in touch with Victor and Alvin and learn more about Securo Finance are in the show notes on our website, moneyneversleeps.ie, so check us out online. Also, thanks to Conan Brophy from Create Sound for mixing and editing this episode. Conan is an excellent media man to get in touch with when you're thinking about launching your own podcast. As for me, I'm an early stage startup investor and advisor focused on where fintech meets crypto and crypto meets Web3. If you'd like to talk to me about your business, drop me a line on info@moneyneversleeps.ie. Finally, till next time, thanks for listening. See ya.